cannot believe it. That's Clone Force 99.
This is Wrecker, Hunter, Echo, Tech, and Crosshair.
Obviously, we are different.
We're all you're getting.
Ha! We're all you need.
They call themselves the Bad Batch. Experimental Unit Clone Force 99. The defective clones with desirable mutations.
This is one meeting I don't want to miss.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Dad Batch Podcast, episode 62. The Dad Batch Podcast is comprised of five fathers who build Star Wars costumes and troop together at events, conventions, and pretty much anywhere they allow us to. We're dads of kids, from toddlers to collegiates, and we support each other with dad tips as much as building tips. We hope you enjoy listening to this show as much as we enjoy making it. It feels like we're on a new mission, but with unlimited explosives. My name is Stevie Kicks, and I am your host in the pilot seat today. And you know I can't do it alone. With us, as always, the other Dad Batchers, your space daddies. First up, our Crosshair never misses a shot, unless he's in a tree. It's Brian Cook.
That's messed up, dude. That's so messed up. Vegans rejoice. I had the shot at a deer and I missed.
Oh,
Vegans.
man.
Oh.
You're like...
So every shot a hunter misses, a deer gains its
more antlers.
Something?
Antlers get bigger.
Antlers, an inch of antler.
An inch of antler.
It was
An inch
quite
and a half.
disappointing.
Okay.
I was
I'm sorry, man.
finally
I'm so
saw
sorry.
some action and then I blew it. But I figured out the problem. Quick tip. If you want to bow hunt, there's you have to adjust your bow. You have to tune your arrow to your bow. There's little adjustments you got to make, and there's field tips is what you practice with. But then when you hunt, you use a broadhead, which makes the arrow fly different. I didn't do that, so I missed.
Why not practice with the one you're gonna use to
Because
hunt with instead of the one that's not the same?
They are meant to cause
They're more
damage, so you
expensive?
can't really like shoot them into targets over and over and over again.
Now, you...
It's like it'll destroy the arrow essentially,
The target and the
or the target.
broadhead. Yeah, it's too much information. Nobody cares.
It's not like you've
Yeah,
spent a lot
okay.
of money on this so far.
Thanks, Steven. Appreciate you.
Can you shoot like 4 arrows with one? That way, you increase your chances.
Does one of them have a USB drive on it, Joe? Is that...
It's like splicing. It's like splicing cable, but never mind.
Yeah.
That's yeah. I get it, Joe.
Well,
Just trying.
I made somebody's day by missing, so I'm just gonna cry.
Next up, he might hate his own foot, but he loves playing footy. It's John Rodriguez. What's up, man?
Yeah. At this point, I do hate my feet.
He's playing.
I've always had
You
problems.
playing with the bowling ball or what? Because your feet look.
Yeah,
jacked.
I'm kicking rocks essentially. No, yeah, my feet are always getting. I've got blisters and stuff. I got new shoes, and the feet are feet are delicate subjects.
I told you a few
Oh,
weeks
a
ago
lot
I
of
was
people.
watching that show Wrexham about the whole football thing.
Oh yeah.
And one of the guys like twisted his ankle or something on one of the plays, and so they like the whole segment was just focused on his foot and
Your
and the
favorite.
repair that they were going into it.
Did they zoom in?
And they zoomed in on his toenails, and they were like
Gnarly, huh?
Were they just mangled? Yeah.
gnarly and
Yeah.
it's, oh.
Well, football players imagine playing a lot, and like the cleats are tight, so your toes are like pretty compressed, pretty hard. And imagine getting stepped on and kicked and cleated and whatever for years and years and years, day in day out. Yeah, your feet will get.
Dude, look at ballerina feet.
Shoot
Their
up.
feet are all jacked. They're on their toes the whole time. It's like just
Yeah,
mangled
they're probably
and-
worse actually. Yep.
We'll call
They're
you
always
Twinkle
like-
Toes now, John.
There you go.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I mean, it's not all bad news, right? Because you've been getting healthier with all the footy.
Oh yeah. I mean, so the whole health journey started a few months ago because I quit smoking.
Yay.
And this is my second time trying to do it. And the first time I tried, I gained a ton of weight. Because that's kind of...
Nobody likes a quitter, John. No, good job, John.
No, yeah, well... So the first time I quit, I gained a lot of weight because I wasn't doing anything active because I had been in an accident years ago and I was afraid of getting hurt again. So I was kind of just like, I'll just stay and chill. You know, I was kind of like a PTSD-ish type of situation. But recently I quit, and after that I started smoking again. It was a mess. Recently, like 6 or 7 months ago, I quit again, and instead of doing nothing, I started playing soccer again, and I've been playing ever since.
You literally traded
and I've
one
lost
addiction for another.
Yeah, but it's a good one, right?
Dude, this is like,
and it costs less.
Dude, John, I got to congratulate you, man. And we're all super proud of you. And we every time you show us your feet, we're like, gross, but good. You know, we always heart it, right? Because,
oh yeah.
But I mean, that's a huge lesson that I think many people need to hear is if you want to stop something, you need to replace it. You can't just quit something. You need
with
to
something
replace
positive,
it with something
though.
positive, right?
Yeah. You need to take whatever energy you had in that bad thing, that bad habit, and redirect it into to something that's going to either benefit you or help you. And that's the thing too. We're all getting a little older, and I don't want to
die.
You know, regret not doing it. And I love doing it too. I love playing. I've been playing my whole life, and
well, it's part of your background and your love and it's a
yeah,
passion.
I absolutely love it. And yeah, whatever. But I'm down like I have never. So I haven't weighed this light in like 20 years. Since high school, since the end of high school, essentially, which is crazy because I've historically never been this light since then, so it's pretty cool.
When I
saw you in Atlanta, you looked you look like someone I've never seen before.
Svelte.
Wow,
it's called
it's
called svelte.
Imagine 5 pounds less than that. Imagine 5 pounds less. Then that's how I am now. I think.
Good for you, man.
But anyway, yeah. So very good, and
I started keto a couple weeks ago,
hurting,
so I'll catch up to you
anyway.
One day.
All right, let's do it. Hey, and if you guys want to kick the ball around, happy to.
No, I'm not going
free and
on your feet.
Steven's like, nah, I'm good.
Come on, Stevie, come on.
Next up, this is my partner Felicia Fancy Bottom, but you can call him Raimi Shanaday.
Are we ever going to get let in on this? Like seriously?
No.
At the end of the
What's
season.
up, man? How you been? How's your week?
Doing good. Trooped on Sunday, so I was talking to you guys beforehand. Like, so we're doing this troop, and it was an event where the kids and anybody honestly were encouraged to also come in costume, and these 3 little sisters rolled up in homemade costumes, kind of youngest to oldest. They were Queen Amidala, Daimyo Boba from Book of Boba Fett, and then Din Djarin from The Mandalorian in full Beskar. Like, but they had made their costumes out of cardboard, and they were amazing. Like, I wish I had gotten a picture of it. The Boba, she had made her jetpack out of like a strawberry basket and a couple of Solo cups and a water bottle, and like it was legendary.
Ooh,
so.
Dang. That's awesome.
That's cool. I can share, like I can do this. Cool. I think we have the technology. I can share my screen.
Raimi, do you remember the Tatooine moisture evaporator that we built like, what is that, 6 years ago?
Yeah.
And the thing that we used on the very top, the cup, because we needed that. We needed that trapezoidal shape.
Was just the right shape. And the one thing that I was able to find was my one of the kids had a Hello Kitty sippy cup that mysteriously disappeared from the cupboard. Was never seen again, but it got painted brown and was part of that moisture evaporator till it fell apart.
Dude, these kids look awesome.
They were amazing. And they were a little shy at first. And then later they came back out and their dad was like, okay, so they're a little shy, but they've got questions. And then they started, like, through him, they started asking us all these questions about, like, how did you make your costumes? And what are they made out of? And what's the difference between his versus his? And so on. So it was really cool. I mean, they're totally, like, cosplayers in the making. Whether they're in the clubs or whatever, but I mean, like, just the fact that they each, like, for anybody that's looking at the picture, they each made what they're wearing. So, like, the little one made Padme like the headpiece and the chest piece. The other two made their Mando armor. It was great.
You know they're at school showing their friends.
Look at my backup.
Right.
Look at my crew.
That's right. That's right. Look at my crew. We roll deep.
Right on, dude.
That's awesome.
Cool. Everything else good?
So, yeah.
Nice.
Everything's good. One other thing I wanted to do, I wanted to give a shout out to my buddy over in France. On Instagram, it's at Libereth. And he's the guy that did the design for my sigil with the Zilla Beast.
Oh yeah.
So he got married over the weekend. So congratulations.
Hey, congratulations from the U.S.
Steven will teach you how to say
croissant.
Croissant.
I need a croissant sigil.
Croissant.
That's right.
Congratulations.
That's right. There was a mock-up bounce. There was a mock-up of that croissant sigil bouncing around on our private chat, if I recall.
We need to dig that up.
Watch out, John Wick. Our tech can wear spiffy suits too. It's Joe Lara. Got you, man. What's up?
Tech Wick.
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
What's going on?
What's
Why
up,
are you looking all fancy today
How's it going?
in your suit?
So just helping out some veterans that are transitioning. There's they're getting out after a military career, and they're trying to figure out what to do, and so it's mock interviews. With my company, I'm lucky to have a company that's super pro veteran, and so a lot of us took half the day, spent time, and imagine like your very first interview. But instead of being 16, 17 in that first job, you're like 40 years old doing your first one.
Yeah.
Because you're in the military, you don't interview. You just
That's not necessarily skills that you would even need to develop.
No, you've never developed them, and so you're like, what do I say? What do I?
Oh my god, I have failed. I have failed so many interviews.
Yeah,
in my life.
But it was cool. It was encouraging, and just seeing the talent that they have, and just really excited for them. Big picture, they're nervous. It's the daunting. What do I do when I grow up? Kind of question that you had when you were younger, but now you're
literally in a situation where someone else is judging you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
of
Joe,
course.
do you come in all hard? You're like, yeah.
Oh, you don't wear the tech bucket? You don't wear the tech helmet when you're doing it?
Oh, I did, and they're like,
oh, okay.
What? They're like, is this a trick? I'm like, no, this is real.
What if this happened in the real world?
I am a clone, and I'm asking you questions, and you better answer them. No, it's so we do behavioral interviews. So anybody that's out there that's maybe going in an interview, sometimes there's very technical questions, but the reality is business is full of people that are emotional, sometimes messes, and they don't know how to function when crap hits the fan. When, oh man, our supply chain is broken or whatever. I can get into a bunch of business terms, but sometimes work isn't smooth, and most of the times it isn't. And so we do behavioral questions to figure that out. And once I turn on that, they know how to answer that. They might not know the technical stuff because they're not doing that thing, but they understand people. So it was cool. And then real quick, congratulate Kim, my wife. She did her first troop this last
woohoo!
weekend.
Yeah, Kim.
She looked great. It was
job,
awesome
Kim.
to see her, strutting the purple Mando. And I know, Judah, you guys said, oh, man, purple does a no-go. But guess what? She rocked it, man.
Good job. Good job, FOD.
There's one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
FOD? Sure.
FOD?
That's awesome.
VOD. It's VOD.
Yeah,
That's what I said, right? VOD.
I thought you said
We all heard FOD, but
like fodder.
we translated. It's fine.
As well.
Fodder.
Good job, VOD.
We got
VOD.
you.
And then also real quick, Desles, I think you're watching our live stream, but thank you for sending these awesome,
Nice.
like My Little Pony Bad Batch.
Look at that.
What? Oh my god.
What?
Look at that.
That's rad.
Yeah. Looky.
All right, I'm going to take the Wrecker one when I see you.
I'm gonna use that one too. So you're gonna
Too late.
Yeah.
I'll save your guys. But yeah, thank you, Des. Nice shout out. She's awesome.
Man, Joe, you're always doing cool stuff.
Lads, we've got company.
You want to sit with us? That's never happened before.
With us today in the Marauder, specialty costume manufacturer, professional painter, and prop maker, It's Juda Escalante. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? You got it. Awesome, Stevie. Yes. Awesome, dude. Yeah.
Thank you
I'm doing
for
great.
gracing us with your presence today on our show. I know we've been trying to book you forever, and I'm just so grateful that you're finally able to make it. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, you guys.
All right. Do you mind if we go around the table and maybe ask you some questions? Actually, you know what? No, before that, if you could let our listeners know who, I don't know who wouldn't know who you are by this point, but if you could introduce yourself and maybe let the listeners know some of the stuff you've worked on.
Okay. My name is Juda Escalante. I am a painter in the movie industry. I'm well known right now for Ahsoka, for my contribution to Ahsoka. I was the foreman in the costume specialty manufacture department, and also for The Mandalorian Season 3. And then my previous work prior to Mando Season 3 was Wakanda Forever. This is when I was in props, so I painted all those weapons. Not all those weapons, but I was one of the painters for all those weapons that we had
Brian,
worked on.
Tell them about the hammer.
Oh, yeah. So I was listening to the other podcast, or last week or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, Stormbreaker.
Hammer.
Yeah.
So I was one of the painters on Stormbreaker.
Nice.
Dude.
Yeah. So
The real one, Brian.
Yes. Dude, mine looks pretty
one,
good.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, mine looks pretty good. It might come in close to Juda's, but I don't know.
Yeah.
When it's in one piece.
Before or after it was broken.
Hey, it's in one piece now. It's gonna break
Yeah,
out.
so-
Sick.
so-
Wakanda forever.
So I used to be in props. I used to paint for a lot of. I worked on Spider-Man: No Way Home, Doom 2021, Suicide Squad. I don't know, Star Trek Picard, Loki. I worked on Loki season 1, Falcon Winter Soldier, Tenet.
Yeah.
Basically anything cool.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
All the cool
list
stuff.
goes on.
Dang.
Yeah, so I was in props before, and then for Mandalorian Season 3 and Ahsoka, I got hired by Shauna in the costume department. And today's Shauna's birthday, so I just want to say happy birthday to Shauna.
It's my birthday!
There we go.
Happy birthday, Shauna.
Yeah, happy birthday, Shauna.
Happy birthday.
So yeah, the list goes on, but again, I was in props, and then I got into the costume department. So anything you see armor, when it a lot of people don't realize what specialty costume manufacture is, and it's basically anything that has to do with hard goods. When we think of costumes, we think of fabrics. We never think of armor, leather, stuff like that. So specialty costume manufacturers, we specialize in anything hard goods. That's anything armor you guys see, leather. That's the department that I'm involved in.
I think that's the thing that we think of first. We
A
think
lot
of
of us
armor.
do.
We think of armor
Us,
first,
but
and
maybe
then
not.
soft goods.
But we're not normal, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on, dude. I can't believe you painted the real Stormbreaker.
Epic.
That's
Yeah.
so sick.
That was a fun one. That was that was a lot of fun. We did I think we started off with I think it was about like 8 or 9. No, it was like 12 or 13 Stormbreakers.
Whoa.
We did about 8 or 9 at first, but they were all made out of rubber.
That was
And
my question. I
Chris-
wanted to ask. Yeah, what they're
Oh yeah, it's out of rubber. But then Chris Hemmingsworth, like that guy, he's such a big dude that the rubber ones that we made, when he would swing those rubber ones, it was just like, it was really quick. So we needed to add a bunch of like weight and steel to the Stormbreakers, so that way when he was swinging it, like it shows the weight of it.
Yeah.
So we had to make them really heavy after that.
You know what's funny, Judah? Did
Yeah.
you mention that? I remember, and this is going back a little bit, but Braveheart, which is an old classic. If you haven't seen it, it's a classic film.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of scenes where all the warriors are running in this field, and if you watch it, their axes and their swords are like wow, wow. It's like made out of cardboard.
Some people have those problems.
Yeah.
They're all limp. They're all flaccid. And
but so like, was it like, I mean, that's hard rubber, right? Because Stormbreaker's so long, like
it's huge.
And the head was rubber too. The axe.
Well, so there's two there's two
shaft
things
and
what people don't realize. So like in the film industry, a lot of times we have something what's called a hero and a stunt. Anytime you hear the word stunt, automatically is rubber. So anytime when you see them, if they're even just running, if it's some kind of a weapon, anything, and they're just running down the street, that's a stunt. The hero is your version that you're going to see mostly in for like photo ops, or posters, movie posters, where they're just standing with a weapon or whatever it is. That's usually a hero, and usually those are made out of like a resin. So those will end up breaking if they, start running with it or use it. Those will end up eventually breaking. So, so there's, I mean, even when we worked on Falcon Winter Soldier, I think we did like 20-something shields for the fight scenes,
Wow.
Those rubber? And those were rubber.
Yep.
Well, you've done lots of cool stuff, Judah, but I'm going to tell you, Stormbreaker is the coolest thing you've ever done. So.
All right, thanks.
Judah, on anything Star Wars related, what do you think? Not necessarily is the coolest looking, but what do you think is the coolest piece that you've worked on?
If I had, I have two, but if I had to choose one, if it was one, then I would say
we can
the Praetorian Guards from Mando season 3.
The ones that kill Paz.
Yeah.
I'm building a Paz right now because of that scene. Because of that scene. Because these guys are gonna build Praetorians.
Rip.
We might. Well,
awesome.
yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, just.
We'll add it.
I just want you to put.
We can.
I want you to put your.
We could
stab me in the neck.
Yeah, I'd have to say them because when the sequels came out with the Last Jedi. I remember that the Praetorian Guards for Snoke, like when it came out on DVD, I bought it the very next day, went home to watch the whole thing, and then I rewounded it and just to watch the Praetorian Guards over and over and over. Like that was just my favorite scene from the whole
It's a dope
trilogy.
scene.
Yeah.
It's
super cool.
It's
that
dope
whole
right?
throne room,
Like,
very vibrant.
Yes.
Red.
Yeah. So then when I knew that we were working on it,
it's a good fight.
I was just in shock. I was just like, oh,
like,
wow,
yeah.
And I was like, all right, you know what? I got to do these guys right. Let me figure out a good color technique. And, so that way I can show Shauna, show Doug Chang, because Doug Chang was one of the concept artists for it, the production design. So, so I just... I'd have to say the Praetorian Guards.
You said you had two. What was the other one?
My other one, I would have to say, Ahsoka the White. With her armor, because that one was it's obviously her new look, and that's the showrunner of the show, and I had to do it well. I had to work with Shauna, work with Dave Filoni, figuring out the armor. I had a different sculptor work on her armor, and I had to come up with the color combination, and I chose to go with a warm silver. And when I showed Dave, Dave was like, he's like, oh, like an old spoon, a patina spoon. And I was like, yeah, all right, yeah.
Yes, exactly what I was going for, Dave.
Exactly that.
So
whatever
like,
you say.
Right, so,
and
whatever you want. And she was always, I know when the Clone Wars came out, she was one of my favorites. As a new character, and I had kind of seen her grow throughout the years. And then, when we were getting to work on Ahsoka, that was a whole new project, to take on, versus, I did some repaints like Din Djarin's, Bo-Katan, stuff like that. But I felt like even though I painted them, it wasn't my credit in a sense, because I basically copied another paint job that existed.
Yeah.
Not taking away from that at all.
No, for sure.
But
this is your own.
For me to mix up my own paints and figure out what colors I'm gonna use for this and that, I took
on
a lot
something
of,
so poignent and important too.
Yes,
right. Like
correct.
it's something that you get to stick your hands in and be proud of, and
correct.
And you're excited about it too, like, right?
Dude, that's gonna live. Yeah. That's gonna live forever. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's already so iconic.
Dude, that is so rad.
There's so on something like Ahsoka the White, where on various different projects, you can be given different direction on any number of things. But something on like Ahsoka the White, where you're the one choosing the warm silver or the spoon patina, we'll call it. Right?
Yeah.
What choices go into the different colors of the costume that perhaps you have to revisit after given some direction, or stuff like that?
So we get concept art, like Brian Mateus, Shauna will have some of her designs, which she had her illustration for Ahsoka the White. But we didn't have any armor to go on the illustration. So it was just all her soft goods. So that's when we had to work with Dave. I chose a specific sculptor to sculpt her armor. And, Dave had his direction of what he wanted the armor to look like. We'd have to make revisions. He would sculpt something, and then, Dave would want something changed, added. And then on top of that, like, I could have really gone with any color. But of course, I'm going to talk to Shauna about it. Like, hey, Shauna, I'm going to go with this color. I'll show you a sample. And I usually have, in the painting world, which I'm sure you guys are familiar, there's something called speed shapes. They look like a little Tesla car. And that's where you test a lot of your colors, because it gives you a three-dimension surface.
I use the plastic spoons.
Yeah, I see the spoons a lot.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, people use spoons. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I use spoons.
Yeah, correct. So I'll do speed shapes, so that way, and I'll present it to them, and I'll show them, and if they like it, then I'll go further along with it, and give them a sample of what it's going to look like when it's aged, when it's clean, and also I give them I'll give them different choices. For instance, sheen-wise, right? I'll give them a gloss look, a satin look, or a flat look. So it gives them choice to look at. Versus options. Like if it's just a gloss, a high gloss clear coat. It's like no. I want to show them the difference between gloss, a satin, and a flat. So that way, they can figure it out. Like for instance, like Shin, Dave liked the gloss look. I showed him a flat. Satin, he liked it gloss. All right, So
and it looks dope.
Yeah.
My next question is: can you please share all the Pantone colors for Ahsoka the White?
One of our listeners sent me something like that, and I shut that down real quick.
His name is Davina. I have a question too, and I'm sorry, Steven, if you had like a plan for this, but so
go ahead.
You obviously have been painting props and stuff for years for the movie industry. How'd you get to that point?
How much time do I have?
all night, bro.
Yeah. All right,
go
cool.
for it.
All right, cool. So I started off back in like I've been doing costumes for quite some time. Back in like 1998 is when I started. I went to my grandmother used to be a seamstress for this company, and she was getting ready to retire. And she's like, "Hey, they're looking for a driver." So I went to this company. They ended up hiring me as a driver. So I started picking up materials for them, fabrics, glue, whatever it was. And when there was nothing for me to pick up, the boss would let me work inside the shop. He would allow me to like start gluing foam, sanding pieces, stuff like that. So then I kept getting better and better. So eventually he ended up hiring another driver. So I stayed in house and I became the department head for refurbishments. We used to do walk around character costumes, kind of like mascots for football teams. The character costumes you see at Disneyland walking around, like Buzz Lightyear, Woody, the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. So we would do characters like that. And so then I was refurbishing them, and I would kind of reverse engineer them. I'd take them apart, see how they're made, and I started learning that way. And then shortly after that, the boss needed a full-time painter, an airbrush artist. And he was hiring a bunch of freelance people. And at the time, they were charging like $40, $50, $60 an hour, way too much. So he wanted someone in-house. So he was willing to teach me, train me. And let me tell you, I knew nothing about airbrushing. But as a child, I remember that was one thing that I wanted to do was airbrush. And my parents bought me some little can with the airbrush, and it goes so quick, and I wasn't good at it. But so the boss wanted an in-house airbrush artist. So for every little color I had to switch, or any little line I had to paint, anything, I always went up to him, and I'm grateful that he had the patience to teach me. So I learned very well by doing that, and I was painting, and then I met this guy at one of the shops named Jordan DeVries. I don't know if anyone's heard of him. But anyways, I kept a good relationship with him, and he ended up going to another shop, and I went to another shop as well, still making character costumes. And I remember there was a point in my life where I wanted to either work for movies and television, or I wanted to be a firefighter. So it was one or the other. So it's like either I join a union, work on film.
Those are kind of opposites.
So yeah, exactly, right.
Big spread.
So I started just putting out resumes. I was already going to a EMT school. I was going to school for it. I was training with the LA Fire Department, but I was also putting out resumes. And then, sure enough, Jordan DeVries ends up calling me. He's like, "Hey, Judah, like, hey, how you doing? You'll never guess what happened." I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "Well, I was going through some resumes, and I just happened to see your name there." And I was like, "What?" And he gave me a call and offered me a job, and I didn't take it at first because it was the pay was low, and it wasn't going to help me at all. So Jordan vouched for me so I can get a better pay. That also allowed me to get into the union, into Local 44, which is props. So I said, you know what? It's going to be a great investment. I'm going to lose a lot of money right now for a year or two, but it's going to pay off because I'll get into the union. Then I'll start making the money that they're making at the union. I'll get the benefits. I'll get all of that. So Jordan vouched for me, so I can get better pay. He got me in there, and I'm grateful for him doing that. So it was a prop house that I was working at, and that prop house, if I could just give them a shout out, it's cool. A lot of people don't know of them at all, but they're called Studio Art Technology, and we did a lot of stuff there. That company has been in existence for years, for 30 plus years or something, and they manufacture so many props that you guys see in film, from weapons to vehicles. So when I first started at that prop house, I started on Mando season 1, working on some of the weapons, some of the pirate weapons, and then some of the vehicles were there that they were making. I remember just going in just to take a tour, and I'm seeing all these Star Wars vehicles. I had to sign the NDA. I saw R2-D2 over there. I saw some droids there, and I'm like, wow. "Oh, this is where I want to be. This is it," So You know, I was very grateful for Jordan getting me into there because that's what really helped me advance my career. And those guys over there, a bunch of great guys over there. They're awesome. Got along well with them. These guys make magic happen. They know what to do. There's so much props that they do. So I was just painting. Think of it. There's several departments there, and I was a painter. I'm painting every single day, and I'm painting, you know, so many different stuff, you know. So that's why I was learning and learning, because prior to that, when I was doing the costumes for Disney, I wasn't using automotive materials. It was mostly acrylics, what I was doing. So I had to learn that really quick, you know. And for me, it was like, since I had been painting for quite some time, I just had to figure out the material a little bit, get to know it, you know, because it's the end result, what you're achieving, right? It doesn't matter how you're going to get there. It's the end result. So, and I always had a good vision for that. So for me, the way I looked at it, it's like, these guys are in here full speed. This is the film. This is the big leagues, right? Like, I can't let them help me if I'm drowning. Like, I needed to figure out things real quick, you know? So
you need to move at their
speed.
Exactly.
I had to move at their speed, you know? So, so I did that. You know, I have a lot of patience, really kind with people. So, you know, built good relationships with everyone. If there was something happening, if I needed help, hey, can you help me with this? Sure. Hey, can you show me how to do this? Sure. You know, so everyone was great there. So that really helped me. And then Jordan ended up leaving, and he was managing the paint department. And then I kind of like stepped up a little bit to that. And then that's when I had the conversation with Shauna to bring me on to Mando season 3 in the costume department. And the way that happened was, I had met Shauna back in like 2015 at one of those shops that I was working at. And she came in to manage the shop for like 2 or 3 months. And she was awesome. She would come over to us. Hey, do you need any materials? She would talk to us. Super kind person. We had church together, you know, so like we'd pray together at times, and she was awesome. So fast forward, I'm watching The Mandalorian season 2, the gallery, the behind the scenes, right? And I was watching it with my girlfriend, and then I see Shauna. I'm like, I know her. That's Shauna. I used to work with her. Like what? She's the costume designer. Like, you know, so I was just kind of like blown by that. And then I was like, you know, I should just reach out to her, tell her congratulations. I'm like, she probably forgot about me, you know. And I waited because I waited a little bit longer, maybe like a year, to reach out to her, because we had, I think, like the pandemic hit, and I think when we first came back from the pandemic, we started working on Book of Boba Fett, and I ended up reaching out to her, and I was like, hey, Shauna, congratulations on all your success with The Mandalorian. I'm also working on it, but in the props department. And her response was, do you need a job? That was her response to me, right? It wasn't like, oh, great hearing from you. No, do you need a job? And then I was like, well, I'm pretty much managing, you know, the paint department here, but I'm always open, you know. So then she gave me an offer I couldn't resist, and that's how I ended up on Mandalorian season 3 costume department.
So you look at that. Your mom was a seamstress. Shout out to your mom.
My grandmother.
Your grandmother was a seamstress. Shout out to grandma.
Yeah.
Which got you a job driving a truck for a company
to pick up material.
And you just like, right? And I think that's like, I think a lot of people that listen or are curious are like, well, how do you get from A to B? It's like, it's what you do, who you know, with a little bit of luck. You know, and like, and the next thing you know, Shauna's offering you a job. It's like,
yeah,
crazy chain of events, but like, man, what a
and
cool...
the thing is, like,
Hey, Judah.
I didn't go to school for any of this. A lot of people think I went to school or what school I didn't go to school for any of this.
Yeah,
I learned on my own. Yeah, people helping me as well.
My career is like the same thing. I just fell. It just kind of like I was doing what I love, and I fell into it, and it just things just happened.
Yeah,
snowballed.
Exactly.
That's so cool, man. Shout out to Grandma, dude.
Judah, I got a question for you. What's your favorite non-Star Wars prop that you've painted?
All right, hands down for me, and I'll tell the story. Namor, the Submariner for Wakanda Forever. And the only reason is because I was born in Hawaii, and me as a child, I've always loved the water. And growing up, I was always Star Wars. Star Wars was always number one for me. And then it was Marvel, and then G.I. Joe and all these Transformers, Silverhawks, all these things. But, as most people, like, for instance, you guys, right? Like, we identify ourselves as who we look like, as a superhero, whoever it may be. So for me, I always looked Asian, and Namor looked Asian, right? So, like, so he was my comics, favorite. He was my favorite comic book character growing up. And then when we got the word that we were going to work on Wakanda Forever, and then I get the illustration, all the work, and I see Namor's spear, I'm like, I'm painting that, and
you're like, that's me.
Yep. And I made sure I was going to paint it, and that was my favorite prop. It was awesome just to see it.
I remember when his costume leaked, and it was one of the first costume leaks that was just like, it was so everybody was just like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this version of Namor. And everybody was just like, finally, yes, finally, like like the real version,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It was awesome because I got to see a lot of stuff, and I was just like, wow. And then how they took it to the whole like Mayan, route, because when I saw his spear, I'm seeing, or their weapons, the Talacaneers, like I'm seeing all this hieroglyphs on here, and I'm like, wow, this is cool. Like they actually hired a real scholar to like study hieroglyphs and create them.
That's
which is really cool. But before that, prior to that, it was Stormbreaker.
That's what I was gonna say.
So,
I wanted the answer for you and just say Stormbreaker. Duh.
Yeah, that was fun. Because come on, Thor, like,
dude, come on, Stormbreaker.
Hey, Judah.
Not as.
I have a question from one of our listeners, Grogu Adventure. She's always following us, and so thank you, Grogu Adventure, for the question. But she wants to ask you, any fun Easter eggs that you've worked on that landed in the show? Like, is there anything in the background that we're all like, oh, did you see that one thing or whatever?
Did you put your thumb in Vader's nose,
dude?
Well, there is one little Easter egg, but you can only see it. You can only see it on the gallery, and it was one of the younglings. There's a youngling in there. If you pause it, she has like a mint blue helmet, but I was able to put a letter J right here. But I did it in a nice fashion, so it doesn't look just like a J, but it's red. And if you pause it, like,
is it Arabesh?
No, it was actually I actually.
It's an actual J.
It's a J, but I kind of made it. I don't know how to explain it. You'd have to find it and look at it.
Could have been one of Ramey's kids.
Okay. I was waiting to see what you were going to say because
you
might have said something about one of the costumes you did for them. I remember, like, you and I actually met in Shauna's shop for the first time before we had the context of all of this to know who each other was. But I was there with doing fittings for two of my daughters who were foundlings, and you came in and the girl that was helping kind of get them set up, like you had the helmets, and the helmets were there, and I think they were painted, but they weren't weathered. And the girl's like, they need, these ones are older than the other ones. We need something more to like bridge the gap between them being kids and them being adults. And so like you came in with a piece of armor and did some stuff to it, and I remember one of the, like,
Yeah.
you know how Boba Fett has like the keyboard keys on his shoulders, like the two on each side. You put one in the middle of the diamond.
Yeah.
On the chest. So that was a detail
Yeah.
that like landed there. So
Yeah.
just little things like
Yeah.
that.
Ding.
Yeah, that was fun. I remember that day. Yeah, I remember that. I remember. Yeah. because
Gosh, you know
it's
what?
kind of
You know
like-
what's? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
No, I was gonna say, you know what's crazy is like 20 years from now, when Hasbro has to go back into the old catalog library of characters to make, you're gonna one day hold an action figure of a foundling, and you're gonna turn it to the side, and the J is gonna be there.
Nice.
That would be awesome.
Hopefully, right?
Yeah. That would be cool.
Bad.
Yeah, that was so yeah, to go back to that question, that was the little Easter egg
That's cool.
that we did
That's
there.
cool.
Yeah, so I was kind of waiting, like when all the younglings showed up, like where is she? And then I'm like, oh, like all right. So, but yeah, it's cool. It's there in the gallery.
That's fun.
Which was awesome.
I had a question from one of our listeners. So this one comes from Making Amando. He wanted to know, what's your worst paint failure?
My worst paint.
I mean, you can kind of come at that any way you want.
Like job-wise
or just
that I've done,
in your
or-
experience, like what,
Yeah.
like, because we've all had like just paint go sideways and like crackle or whatever, and I think that might be where he was coming from, because I think he's had some paint challenges lately.
The worst, I wouldn't say it's
Okay.
paint. I would say more so clear coat. Because paint for me, I don't know. Like one thing I always tell people is your paint work or your paint job is only as good as your prep work, right? So if you prep it well, your paint job is going to look well. It's going to look good. But let me tell you, clear coating, that's a difficult one for people to pick up. Because painting, I mean, you can, whether you use an airbrush, whether you use a spray can, whether you use a chip brush, dry brush, or use a spray gun. The paint is, I mean, unless you're using a spray gun, obviously you can overspray the paint. There could be just paint just dripping. You know, there's too much paint. You applied way too much. But then that's kind of an easy fix, you know. So, but it's clear coat is, you know, because the clear coat is the final product, right? Unless you're going to weather it or age it. So it's the clear coat, because also too, a clear coat, depending on what clear coat you have, how much time before you let it dry or cure?
Yeah.
You know, so like, and if you're clear coating something, you see it looks nice, but then you come back 5-10 minutes later, then you see a drip, and you're like, oh, like you got to let that whole thing dry off. Then once it dries off, you got to sand it down. You got to buff it out. Like it's a lot of work, and especially like
pain in the butt.
Yeah, it is. You know, so if anything, I would say more
struggle with
clear
that,
coat,
too.
because just painting in general, painting can be a quick fix. But also too, if you're using a spray can, a lot of times people use certain brands and to kind of gummy up. So if you go to sand it, even though you let it dry for like a day or two, you go sand it and it's just like really gummy and
still moist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's why, like for me, I stay away from certain brands of spray paint, and I avoid spray paint as much as I can. Yeah, I still use it here and there, but for the most part, yeah. So clear coat, learn your clear coats, because that takes time to learn and build.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the biggest concern we have when we screw up is like maybe a con crunch where we're compressed by time. But I mean, but for you have there's like project management,
less time,
and you have so much time. So I'm thinking like, man, if we had to paint and create Darth Vader's codpiece, especially Stevens, it'd take probably forever.
It's really
like
big,
at least a week dedicated to just the material and the paint.
Yeah.
And, man, just that alone.
It's a lot of cod.
No, you're right. You're right, and it all depends on because working in film, that they want it now. They want everything now.
They need it yesterday.
So exactly, they need it yesterday. So especially when it comes to clear coat, there's times where, like for instance, when I did Din Djarin on his his gauntlet when they stole his whistling bird, the super C's, like on the last episode, I think it was, or 7. No, it was on episode 7 on season 3 where they steal his whistling bird. Like I had to make that in like 45 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was like, hey, we need this right away. Like, oh wow, okay, all right. So stuff like that. Like think of that whole whistling bird section is right on there. Like, come on, 45 minutes. Like,
your paint's not
but-
even dry.
How are you with pressure? Is it like, oh man, I got this, or is it you work better when there's pressure, or how does that work for you?
45 minutes, Joe. He said 45 minutes.
No, that's a great question. That's a great question because for me,
Great question, Steven.
for me, I work better pressured in a sense, because I know what I can do with the time given, and I never let the pressure break me.
Nice.
And it shows my performance. You need something,
Yeah.
so I'll bring it. Yeah, there's times where I'll say I can have something sooner, and I don't. But the pressure, especially when you're working with the team and under the amount of pressure that we're working under, and me being the leader of that team, I have to be on top. I got to show everyone that, hey, look, this is a stressful environment, but look, we can do this. We got a great team, so I keep everything positive. I keep, good spirits with everyone. Blast some music, people, it's a proven fact that people work well with music or work better with music. So I would do stuff like that. So then when anything would come, to the team and anything like that, it's like, hey, all right, you got this, give them a little prep talk. All right, you can do it. Come on, we got 30 minutes. All right, cool. We got it. Hey, if you need someone to help, you need this and that, let me know, so we work together. If something comes up like that, if I need something, I go to whoever can do the job of what I need or what I need help with. So the pressure does kind of help sometimes.
Not giving you too much time to overthink something too,
Yeah,
just
correct.
stare at it
That's
like,
true.
Well, maybe this,
get to
maybe
work.
that. But you're
Yep.
like, nope, this is what we got to do.
Yep.
Makes
Just
you
do
be
it.
Get it done
Do it.
quick. Yeah.
I wanted to ask a quick one, and I think this doesn't have to be too long, but like outside of movies or comics or media like that, like do you get inspiration from any, like, do you follow art, or do you or is it music, or do you have an outside influence outside of...
I do, and this may be kind of interesting, but my outside influence has to do a lot with the balance of things. And I don't know how that would make sense, but just as an example, I like how things are connected. For instance, a king wears a golden crown to emanate the warm golden sunlight, as to a queen wears a silver tiara to emanate the cool silver moonlight. So I like to use...
Whoa.
Yeah, so it's
awesome.
like, I like how things are connected. When you look at numerology, 9, there's only 9 numbers in the numerical sequence. Anything after 9 is repeating itself. So 9 is completion.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to take the aspect of, you can call it spirituality, whatever it may be, but I like taking that aspect and using that into my work.
When Dave Filoni told you about Balin's skull and Shin Hati, and he was like the wolf chasing the sun and the wolf chasing the moon, you were probably like, what?
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's it. Because
he's talking your language. He's talking your language, right?
Exactly.
You were like, Dave,
yes.
Spoon patinas all day.
Exactly. So
Spoon patina.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. And that's why when you look at Shin, right? Shin has silver. Like I said, that's the feminine side, right? Balin was the dark, or black, whatever. But, and you look at the sun, the core of the sun is black, So that's the kind of stuff I like to take as an inspiration for me.
That's rad.
Because I don't really, I don't really draw or do a lot of outside hobbies. you know, but I like to study life and I guess spirituality and aspects of that to help understand myself better as well as everyone else.
Dude, I
awesome.
appreciate what you just said. I mean, I've been listening to everything you've been saying, but this last part, like, I am so dialed in.
Awesome.
That was cool.
It's cool. I think all of us are enamored when we see great costumes, when we're at cons and when we troop, we admire each other's work.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of the guys here, I admire every single thing that these guys do. I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so rad. And then when they break it down and say not just how they did it, but why they did it or why they chose a certain way, and there's meaning to it, that just adds. It just makes it so much more valuable, right? You can just appreciate it from multiple levels, and it's no longer just a visual thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a deeper meaning, and that's just so rad. So thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah, correct. Cool. Yeah, you're welcome. Because, like, for instance, Ragnar on season 3, right? Like, I was like, hey, that's Paz Vizsla's son. Why not father like son? Let me paint him like this father. You know? So they were like, all right, let's do it. Mm-hmm. Awesome. It's
cohesion.
They loved the idea, and that's what it came to be, you know? So it's like, and the same thing with Jason Sandula. You know, if you look closely, his little, we call it GAC, his little GAC box, it has Kanan's downward triangle on there. You know, so if you look at it, and then also with the pauldron, the claw.
With the pauldron.
You know, so it's stuff like that. That's where I take those meaningful things and I incorporate it.
Cool.
You know, and the same thing with the Soka the White. Like I was telling you, like now she's awakened. You know, so it's like I wanted to do a nice silver for that, you know, because it shows, you know, enlightenment, you know. Yeah. So, because I could have kind of gone with any color and then showed it to Dave or whatever. But no, so I take those things in consideration, you know, especially with Star Wars. It's, you know, I'm a huge fan myself. You know, so I want to make it the best I can make it. Because let me tell you, when I was painting that pauldron for Jason and got the little GAC piece there, I started tearing up. You know, because that's cool. How much it meant to me.
Yeah.
You know, awesome, and I'm like, oh man, like I started feeling it. I'm like, all right, if I'm feeling it, then, you know, other people are going to feel that, you know. So I like, there you go. That's right.
That's cool.
Just happened to have a random Kanan Jarrus figure in the box.
So yeah, man. So I like taking that aspect of whatever you want to call it, spirituality, life, whatever, into the costume making or painting, I should say.
That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to talk a little bit more about painting and building and stuff like that in our next segment.
Awesome.
But first, thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. If you'd like to rep your support for the show, pick up an exclusive Space Daddy Wrecker hoodie at thedadbatch.com.
So it's time for the Dad Batch Podcast Holiday Special Chrome Tono Volume 2. When we made this announcement, October 10th was World Mental Health Day, and research shows that more than 50% of all lifetime mental disorders start by the age of 14. Children's mental health needs champions, so we are pleased to announce that our fundraising efforts throughout the holiday season will go directly towards the On Our Sleeves movement for children's mental health, a nonprofit organization committed to breaking stigmas and helping families talk about mental health with their children. On Our Sleeves provides free mental health resources for parents, teachers, and caregivers across the United States. Join the Dad Batch this year as we support On Our Sleeves. Once again, starting on November 1st and running through Christmas Eve, every dollar you donate here will be another chance to win. We have so many items lined up for this year's prizes. And yes, that's prizes with an S. This year we will have first, second, third place winners, and a grand prize winner. All will be announced in a special release of the show on Christmas Eve. According to pre-pandemic numbers, 1 in 5 children is living with a mental illness. We can all feel that there is a youth mental health crisis, and we all know someone who has been impacted, but stigma remains. Children don't wear their thoughts on their sleeves, so we don't know what they're going through. And many of us didn't grow up talking about mental health. That's why On Our Sleeves was created. Please help us in supporting their important mission by donating. You can learn more about the On Our Sleeves movement for children's mental health by browsing at onoursleeves.org. On Our Sleeves is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and all donations are tax deductible.
This garbage is nothing like clone armor.
Looks a little tight on you, old man.
Yeah, at least I know how to wear it.
That's right, everybody. It's time for the weekly workbench. All right, gentlemen, who is working on
what? I'll go first real quick. What about? Yeah.
Helmets.
I painted
Goes
a few
first,
more clone
doesn't know what he
helmets.
did.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I've got a helmet behind me over yonder somewhere in some corner that I'm working on over there. But I painted a few that are going out, and I've just been trying to do that every week, just pump a few out. And
The only one I care about is Amy putting the stickers on the clone helmet. Everything else we don't care
Oh
about.
yeah, well that's the thing. So I posted the photo of 2 of the clones I finished today, but when I posted the photos, someone messaged me. They're like, "Oh, you forgot the vent stickers." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, like wow." So in the morning, Amy woke me up. We were hanging out, and I saw the thing, and I was like, "Oh, I'm like, come down and help me real quick. Let me put these vent decals on there." And she saw me do because it's one on each side. So I did one side, I did the other side, I did one more, and then she's like, "Can I do it?" And I'm like, "You know what? Sure. I'll pop the thing on, and then you can sort of slowly peel it," because she watched me do all 3. And she did at the end do the last one, pop, 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 and it came out perfect. And that was the selling point on the helmet. They're like, "I got to get it since Amy helped." I'm like, "All right,
That's
cool."
awesome.
Like,
That's it. She's gonna do everything now.
It's
awesome.
someone within our friend group, but it was
so
funny.
adorable,
rad.
and
She literally
looked
helped.
so stoked too. She was like, "Oh,
She was stoked, yeah, because she was like, "Can I do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, you can do it."
Hey, her rate's kind of high though, so you better.
Yeah. Well, now I have to pay
Helmets
her,
are
right?
up.
So
Chicken nuggets
Yeah,
or
screwed
maybe
me-
a
screwed myself
swing.
over. Yeah, she has snacks and chocolate milk and stuff. So we're good. But that's for the most part. That's pretty much it. Haven't been making much of other. Oh, and I obviously I was working on Balin stuff. That I don't know if we mentioned it last week or not, but yeah, I've got
you
a couple
printed a dozen
gauntlets
set of
and
forearm armor. So
no, well, because the first set I did was not completely accurate, and then the second set is, and they're resin. They're not ABS like resin. They're regular resin, so they might break. So there's a couple floating around.
They're stunt ones.
But I painted one set.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, one set is a hero set, and the rest are stunt. Right. But that's it. That's all I've been doing, as far as I can remember. Yeah.
Did you fix Stormbreaker, Brian?
I have. It's all glued back together. I got to do a little bit of sanding and like repaint the wood, but I've been
Because I might know somebody who could help you. His name rhymes with Judah.
Yeah.
I mean, mine's. Like I said, mine's just right below Judah's, so like I think I'm good. I think I'm covered.
Yeah. You're just right.
Dang.
Right there. Yeah.
But I haven't touched it. It's been sitting on my
course.
workbench. I keep going up and climbing in trees and missing shots on stuff. So
Speaking of workbench, you should do crosshair as well, right?
Yeah.
CRL.
I know I need the shins are sitting
flagging
there, printed. I have to have a heavy sanding session. I don't know. I've got like a lot of work stuff and home stuff, and there's all kinds of things going on. And then Levi, I got her one of those like China Harley Quinn costumes. It's from a video game or something. I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah.
Injustice.
Yeah,
Is it the Injustice
something.
League?
It's super cool. It has like a
Yeah.
Batman logo on the back. But I've been like kind of doing my magic on those cheap costumes and just making them look better than they were. I've talked about stuff like that before. That things will come with like a really crappy leather belt or like accessories, and I'll just like glue super thin foam to the back. Now all of a sudden it has substance and it's like leather, and then I just blackwash everything, and then usually that's it. But other than that, nothing. I need to finish Stormbreaker. I need to work on Crosshair CRL that I keep talking about, I think, for weeks now. And then John's been reminding me now, and I'm like, oh, yeah. But I'm really dreading the, 8 hours of sanding I got to do on those things. So
It's never.
What
fun,
is it made out of?
But it's necessary.
PLA. It's just printed, 3D printed shins that Steven did a wonderful job re-engineering.
Yeah, I mean,
added the details and
modified
it. And they've literally been printed for months now, so I'm a little ashamed to say that. I hate sanding. I really.
You've got one job to do, Brian.
Dude, hey, when you're waiting for deer,
yeah.
Sand in the tree.
That's gonna scare him away.
That would be perfect. You could just sit there.
Yeah, but the result's the same. You're not going to get a deer. So just sand.
Still have a clean print.
Yeah, send those out here and let Amy work on them.
That was payback.
She's all about it now.
Yeah, I'm gonna send
she'll
them
get
to
it
Amy.
done.
She could actually finish it for you, for real.
Dude, that's child labor. We can't do that. No.
It's fine.
I'll pay her.
I'll supervise.
That was a good payback for last week, Joe. That was good.
That's true.
What do I do?
I don't know.
Yeah,
What
you
is
grilled
it?
him on the intro.
You were like episode 60, almost as old as Joe.
I don't remember that.
Oh,
I don't remember that.
Brutal.
That one in.
Oh, but Steven, you brought it back now.
That thing you forgot about. Yeah, there's that.
Double brutal.
So now,
I'm sorry, man.
Now I feel old again.
It's okay. Brian can't catch a deer.
Clearly.
I can go real quick. I'm not making anything. I made
still
stencils for
sting.
John, but that's about it. I'm actually the only thing I'm making.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome. So my this Sunday got a shout out for my niece Destiny and future brother-in-law Stefan. They're getting married, and so I've been crafting what I have to say to marry them. So they asked me to marry them. No pressure, right? No pressure.
Right.
And so ChatGPT, thank you, kind of gave me a little shell. But I I want to do a good job. So I've been dude, I don't stress at these things. I've done like speeches in front of people and I'm fine, but with this I want to be perfect for
Is
that.
this like a
So
serious thing in a suit and everything?
I'm going to wear a suit, bro. I'm not wearing a tech. I'm not going to wear a costume.
I mean, I married people as Darth Vader, so I don't know.
I know,
what,
dude.
like-
That would be fun.
That's cool.
If it was that, dude, I would just like wing it. But I can't wing this. I need to be like, dialed in.
Well, let me tell you about flipping a binder with the thing written. What's it called? Whatever the thing. It was all written out, and it was like super windy. It was in Long Beach on the beach. And I was like,
Are you even able to read? Are you even able to read that in that helmet?
Because you're wearing Vader. Like you are wearing Vader.
Awkwardly, but yes, I did.
You should have just pre-recorded the
well.
whole thing, just like we did the commercial.
Wait a minute. Did you have the voice going?
Yeah.
Dude,
Oh
you
my
should have just
God.
pre-recorded it.
Yes.
That's awesome.
You should have pre-recorded
I
that.
did.
Yeah.
I did it for our friends Jamie, who's a Fiverr First member, and her husband Sket One, who's the artist who did the California ADAP flag.
Oh, word! I have one in my garage.
I think did I send that to you? I sent one to somebody. I don't know. But
Yeah. No, I bought it
You
off
sent-
of
I-
like AliExpress or something.
Got it for me.
Yeah, they asked me randomly. I don't know. It was like May the 4th. I don't know, a few years ago.
Dude, can you? I can hear it now. Like, dearly beloved.
The pictures are.
We are gathered here today.
I was definitely.
We are gathered here
freaked out
today.
About it. I was definitely freaked out about it, but it came out. It was good.
It takes like 4 times as
It was a
long.
good time.
Oh my God, that would take forever, that wedding, because he's got to
Sorry.
breathe.
I hijacked your part.
He's
Joe.
got to catch his
Joe-
breath, right?
Then he starts choking up, going, "Padme, Padme,
No.
no." But I digress.
You killed her in your
We even had some humor because we had a Boba Fett. John Cafe was Boba Fett, and like there was some part where it was like, whatever, some line and like a famous line in the wedding, and it's like no disintegrations, and I like point to Boba Fett, and he was like,
And he nodded.
it was pretty good.
Perfect. You're like,
Judah, you working on anything?
Not at the moment. No, I will start working on some stuff soon though. Some side projects coming up.
Sick.
Yeah, I think
Nice.
I'm gonna open some commissions soon.
Nice.
Yeah. So So I already got a few things
Is that
lined up.
Did they just hear that here first?
Do you want a little
Is that the
plug?
first time
Is
you
that an
mentioned
exclusive?
Yeah, that was
Dad
the
Batch
first-
exclusive.
Wow, you heard it here first. There should be a sound for that or something.
Exactly, right.
Jamaican
Because-
party horn.
Wow, that's some news. All right, so keep an eye
Get
out
some
for
steel
Juda's
drums and some horns.
commission slots.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
There you go, Grogu slamming the yes button.
Steven's selling things right now. He's all sell.
Yeah.
Right
Save
on.
his-
That's super
putting his
cool.
lunch money
Yeah.
together.
I mean, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, right
No
now.
more eBay auctions.
Yeah, we're not working right now, so it's like I still need to make a living. I got to pay some bills, and you know, I'm
Gotta
gonna
eat.
put it out there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I have a few.
You know,
things
now
lined up.
that's a perfect perfect way to mention this, is that now is the perfect time that the community needs to support the artists and the makers and the crafters
Yeah.
like yourself who are affected by the strike.
Yeah.
Because it's like you have all the skills and all the mastery of all these different crafts and literally cannot work.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and that's, I mean, that's what I do for a living. You know, so it's like, wow. Well, then I'll, you know, and that's the whole reason. Like on my Instagram, the whole Mantastic Paint and Props. That's why I started it, because I was already working in the industry, but then I was doing little commissions on the side. You know, just a helmet here or a gun or whatever it was, and so I was like, you know what, I need to start a business. I need to start this up as a business, as a side hustle. And that's where I started that, you know, and that's what I started to do. So yeah, so now it's just gonna kind of continue it for now.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you got 5 customers right here when you're ready.
All right.
Yeah, I'll take a commission.
Ramy, are you working on anything?
Not.
I'll send you the helmet.
Not really. I did get a new kind of printer room set up, something different than what I had before, and it's kind of
you're cutting wood
and a new printer.
Did some
Well, that's
cutting
big.
of some plywood. I did the math. I figured like, all right, I wanted like a desk in this one space in this spot, and I could go buy some cheapo thing for $50 that's not going to fit right and fall apart, or for like $30 I can buy a sheet of MDF and we can cut custom pieces. So I've got this like custom little bench that fits in this spot perfectly, and it's installed and it works great. Noise was a consideration for me. I wanted something that was quieter than the printer that I had been running. So I actually got one of Steven's artillery sidewinders off of him, and it is nice. It's actually been running for a few days now in a row. Super quiet. It's not. It doesn't disturb.
You just close the door, right? You have the little door, and you just set it and forget it.
There actually is no door around this spot, but yeah, it's great. I didn't want anybody to hear it through the walls or anything like that. And then the other thing is, and I've got my Jupiter in there and up and running now too. The other thing that I got, though, Steven brought me, so and from his work, he managed to steal a sign off of one of the rooms that was oddly appropriate for me to put over a room that would be.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it says Echo
What does that
Lab,
say for the?
but
for
it's
the
all
listeners?
pre-printed. This like nice plastic sign. So I've got this. This actually is over the doorway into
like a
the
door
space
sign,
where the printers are at now. So that's it.
That's right.
I've just been working on Paz. The whole costume's printed. I'm just printing the blaster pieces now. There's just there's so many blaster parts to print, but I'm moving along with it. I'm actually printing those on a different printer. I'm printing it on my Creality CR10 Max because I need the larger build volume for the longer barrel pieces. I mean, and I could cut them, but I'd prefer if they were just one long piece.
Right. It's more convenient.
Yeah. And then I can fill it with like my plan is to fill those long barrels with a clear acrylic tube that's frosted so that I can put LEDs in there, and then it'll have a nice, nice.
Cool.
Throw a lightsaber blade in there, dude. 1 inch diameter.
Yeah.
Easily throw a blade in there
Right.
with the LEDs and everything.
Wow.
But on the K1 Max, because that thing's just been printing nonstop. I finished the Venomized. My son wants to be Spider-Man for Halloween, but he wants to be Venomized Spider-Man. So he's got like it's the Spider-Man mask, but he's got all like the symbiote like coming all around the face and all that stuff.
That's cool.
So he's got that fully printed, and then he wanted the whole family to kind of like do the costume with him. So his little brother is gonna be Miles Morales. My wife is gonna be Spider-Gwen, and then he wants me to be Venom. But I don't want to like. I'm going to be in charge of these kids trick-or-treating. I don't want to be like impaired with my vision or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to do Venom with these kids? Right. So then I saw online this guy like a few years ago, he did the Tom Hardy Venom who's talking to Venom coming out of his body.
On the shoulder?
the head.
Like,
Yeah.
With that arm.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So he did the fake arm thing, right? But the way he did it with like garbage bags and hot glue and like bubble wrap and just, you know, like the stuff you find around your house. But I was like, I can't do it that way, right? I gotta do it better. So I went online and I found a really cool Venom 3D file of Venom. And then I took it into Mesh Mixer. I chopped off the head and then I extruded the back face or the back wall of the plane cut that I made. I extruded that back like in a tubular manner, and then
in a tubular fashion.
Yeah, and then I hit print on this thing this morning at about 6:30. When I came home from work, it was already done, and that's this thing here.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, dude!
Damn!
Look at that thing.
So I'm gonna put a handle back here, and you really got to see the YouTube on this because. Yeah, and then what I'm gonna do is there's this like
the jaw doesn't open and close.
No, I just want it static.
Jeez,
come on,
it's
Brian,
just
really?
The head kind of floating around.
I
mean, yeah.
Out of you.
No,
if it talks,
I'm gonna put a speaker. I'm gonna put a speaker inside with the Venom sounds.
Rad.
And then so Yaya Han is a cosplayer who's built an entire business. You can find her cosplay materials at like Joann's Fabrics and Hobby Lobby and stuff. She has this like black shiny material. It's like, it's not pleather or leather. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a stretchy black material. And I'm going to glue that onto this like face as like in like a symbiote way. And then have that like come around my arm. And then I bought glue sticks, hot glue sticks that are already black. And that's going to go all over. And then I'm just going to walk around doing this with the kids.
And then you take your jacket, right? And you like stuff your
and then I'll have the fake arm
in your pocket. Yeah.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be fun.
So I couldn't believe it printed in like a day, like 8 hours, 9 hours.
How did you do that again?
On the K1, on the K1 Max.
There you go. Yeah. K1 Max.
Nice.
K1 Max.
Like how I slid that in there, Steve?
Oh, you can always slide it in, Brian.
On the K1 Max, powered by Creality.
Hey, Rami.
The K1.
Hey, Stephen.
El K1.
We're being hailed. This encryption's new. This might take a while.
Okay, so Lucasfilm did a book publishing panel at New York Comic Con last weekend, and they had they revealed a few things. One was John Jackson Miller, author John Jackson Miller, has a new book called Star Wars: The Living Force, which is coming out next year. This novel is going to take place exactly 1 year before The Phantom Menace, and he described it as a road trip for all 12 members of the Jedi Council. And the story will basically be told from the perspective of all 12 members of them and their respective points of view. So should be interesting. And one of the things that he said was that somebody commented that it was one of the funniest things they've seen in Star Wars occurring between Jedi Masters Ki-Adi-Mundi and Yarael Poof, and so who knows what that equates to, but that was something that was teased.
You know why? You know why, right? You know why, right? Because Kiadi, I'm gonna put on my nerd hat for a second. Kiadi Mundi was the last male of his race, and he was
not the last, but they were super rare.
I know where this is going.
He was sanctioned by yeah. He basically became a jizz player with the Cantina band.
Oh, you had to blow your load.
They're no longer PG.
Just blasting that jizz music all over the place.
Jazz.
So you can look for.
Juda's like, what did I get myself
Look for the
into?
book.
Yeah, Juda's like,
on
what
bookshelves on April 9th of next year.
All right.
Okay, so in the same panel, not book related necessarily, but they were talking about the High Republic, and one of the things that they pulled out and showed was Disney's got a new FX lightsaber coming from the High Republic. Then this is for character Stellan Gios, I guess his name. It's kind of a cross between the Voltron sword and Kylo's saber, right? Like it's got the crossbar hilt, but the hilt is very ornate and has some it has some metal parts that come out and kind of guard that saber part that sticks out to the sides.
It's like an Excalibur style, like a knight. You know,
I like the look of it, and it's actually got an interesting mix of like gold and silver on the hilt, like it was. But I just still have a hard time wrapping my head around the whole High Republic era. I'm hoping the Acolyte does something to make that interesting for me, but
it's having its early moments. It's having. Remember when the prequels came out and people were like, "I don't know about this, man." Like we watched, I don't know about this. I feel like that's what's happening with High Republic right now. Like people are like, because I've read some stuff. I've read a couple of the books and I've seen the comics and stuff, and there isn't much more media than that on it. So it's kind of like, man, I don't know about this stuff, but I feel like in the future, if they do more media, like you said, an Acolyte or something, they'll be able to.
But weren't those games High Republic, like with the epic cinematography with like the brothers and the dad and the.
That was the Old Republic.
Oh, so it's before.
So it's not quite, and it's non-canon too. Yeah, it's something else.
I know, but I'm saying like visually, that stuff looked cool. Those brothers were dope,
right?
Like all black and all white.
Those cinematics. Yeah, it's like Akron and
they just looked cool.
Or Arkin.
So I just wonder if they would like take inspiration from that.
I wish they would, because that stuff looks great.
I don't know,
but anyway.
Okay, no, it's okay. Next up, we've got. So, did you guys see the video of these new droids that they've got walking around Galaxy's Edge?
Oh.
Yeah. So awesome. They look like they're maybe a little bit bigger than BD1, but it's very similar aesthetic. And for anybody that's watching the live stream or the YouTube, I'm playing some content right now that's showing one of these guys moving around. So as I understand it, they're driven by learning algorithms. So there's some AI behind them. I think the idea is that these things can fairly easily become something that's just autonomously moving around in Galaxy's Edge. They show that like it is actually able to handle quite a wide variety of terrains. And I think even in some of these videos, I don't know if it was this one or I've seen video where like somebody literally tries to push it down and it like stumbles a little bit and corrects itself, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure that something catastrophic enough could happen that it would be like just like a turtle on its back. But
the public, will definitely come up with a way.
Have you seen those those Boston Dynamic robots? Those things. I mean, they like
dogs.
Yeah, they are brutal.
Or no, the people, right? They stand up.
No, the dogs.
Kick them
and
punch them
those things, people get brutal with it, and they don't fall down.
They had those in Star Wars. They actually used those for a scene.
They did, right. Yeah.
Have you guys seen the spoof video where like the guys are like they're messing with it and they mess? Well, I guess it's not one of those robots, but it's like a two-legged version, and they mess with it to the point where it finally just has had enough, and it turns around and starts shooting at them.
Yeah, I've seen that.
For real,
dude. It's gonna happen. They keep kicking and punching these robots, man. They're gonna be like Screw these.
Moritz Bashe, associate lab director at Disney Research, said the robots actually learn to imitate artistic motion. That's the secret sauce to make them work so quickly. They can actually emote and learn to dance. They can get really angry and the eyes turn red. They walk over uneven terrain. They can still balance. They're really robust. So, I mean, when we've seen stuff in the parks like this, they can, I think the idea is at least to get it to the point where there's a handler maybe that can go pick it up and set it back up on its legs. But there doesn't need to be somebody sitting there with a remote control that's obviously controlling it that takes you out of the moment, right? So it's one thing to have a cast member walking around in the neighborhood to help this thing out, but if it looks like it is just naturally moving around the park as if it was any other character in a suit, then mission accomplished. So
robots taking over.
Yeah.
I saw how they painted them red, green, and blue, and then somebody was like, "Oh, like Huey, Dewey, and Louie," and they were like, "Oh, well,
I think that was their code names.
That's
yeah,
their names."
That's funny. They look like ducks,
or like Alvin, Simon, and Theodore, right?
You know what they're gonna do?
Yeah, but I don't think those are Disney properties.
You know how R2 like always sticks his little arm out and like zaps. He's got the zapper. That's what's gonna happen. Like kids are gonna like be more like jerks. They're gonna like be messing with the robot.
Don't put that. Don't install that.
They're gonna tase people.
Yeah.
Hey, you touched the robot, bro. You're not supposed to.
Hurt.
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't put those at Disney World. They just put it in California,
Florida, man.
No, man.
No, I think Brian was saying like the headlines, Florida man seen, or followed by whatever.
Yeah, Florida man.
Yeah, Florida man.
Florida man picked up Disney Galaxy's Edge robot and threw it in the submarine.
We just lost all three listeners we had in Florida.
Submarine.
So then the only other thing that I've got in the news, and this is just more of a conversation that I thought was interesting that I put a pin in to come back and talk about on the show than anything. But in our private chat, we were talking the other day, and it prompted me to go do some research on the budgets that have gone into some of the shows that we've watched, and how that is relative to the films, and kind of how profitability goes into play here. So as an example, Mandalorian's season 1 and 2, and I don't have the number for season 3. It theoretically could be the same, but Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2, as well as Ahsoka and Book of Boba Fett, each had a budget of $100 million per season. Obi-Wan Kenobi was a little bit more at $130 million. Moving on up, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and as well as Loki season 1 were $150 million. Secret Invasion was $212 million, which just goes to show you that success does not equate to budget. WandaVision and She-Hulk both had budgets of $225 million. And then the granddaddy of budgets goes to Andor for a cool $250 million. It was. And arguably like $250 million is like, now you're getting into feature film, like high budget feature film territory.
Yeah.
But you've made more content than a film. Like that budget for that film is, 120 minutes,
like 6
give or
to 8
take.
hours, right?
Whereas you're getting 300 minutes worth of content out of an average Disney Plus TV show. So, the decision makers are going to look at like the ROI on a $100 million investment, or all of those $100 million investments, and compare that to the ROI on a $250 million one. It goes to show you, like, so we know that Andor was predominantly practical as far as shooting on location, whereas most of the other ones that are on the lower budget end were able to be filmed on the volume. So, and yet, what was the entertainment value of one over the other? Scenery aside, like the special effects aside, like that, because the story is going to be for Andor is what it is, whether it was filmed on the volume or on location. So, by comparison, like the Flash movie had a budget of $200 million. So, and again, like when you've got something that's got a runtime of 144 minutes, that means that it cost them $1.4 million a minute. Mando season 1 with a $100 million budget had an approximate cumulative runtime of around 300 minutes, and that's $333,000 a minute. So it's like way less per minute of content And so again, when you're looking at profitability, which is like Disney's got shareholders and they want profit, and like it all comes back to money. These shows are very profitable, even compared to a film. So
I think if I recall correctly, the reason we brought this up in the first place was we were discussing how Kevin Feige over at Marvel is finally, like, he actually put out there that he's learning that they've been doing the TV shows
that was
wrong.
what started this. Yeah, when you mentioned that they've been shooting them and they've been putting them in production as if it's a movie, and then just fixing it and cutting it in post, which really hasn't worked for them on any of their shows, other than maybe Loki at this point. But the fact that they're actually going to now take, like, having a pilot, for instance, into consideration before they greenlight an entire 8-episode show, is going to start playing into the budget, and all the other things that you listed on. Yeah, and
there.
it'll be interesting to see. Like, we've been seeing these shows, and there's 8 episodes, not a typical 20 or 22 episodes per season. So I think that's a big part of it. Like, also, if you look, these shows are feature film budgets, and we're getting more content out of it, but we're not getting as much content out of it as we would have gotten from a historical, antenna broadcast, Sunday night at 10 o'clock on NBC or whatever TV show that would have been 20 episodes, long.
I think the whole thing was that this Daredevil show, the rumor that was going around is that this was going to be like 22 episodes, and it was going to be like unheard of in in the whole Marvel streaming universe. But when Feige test screened like the first 3 or 4 episodes, he just absolutely hated it. It just didn't flow. The writers just completely went a different way. So he kind of canned the entire original staff, the original writing, the original production staff. And they're basically starting from scratch again, writing it, producing it, and all that, and in that process. And I think they're getting a lot of flack online for doing this. Like, oh, Marvel's burning down now. They're canceling everything. They're having to redo everything. But I mean, I only look at this in a positive light, that they're committed to just getting it right. Like, they're not going to just let a flagship character like Daredevil flop.
Yeah. But
especially since it's
speaking of flagships, it's worth pointing out that Mandalorian is Disney Plus's flagship property, and it's at the bottom end of that budget list that I gave off, and has consistently been.
Didn't it launch with
was it day and date?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It was day of. Yep. It was day one.
And continues to perform spectacularly, and it's still at the.
Well, that's because they brought on Judah, and they were like, "Oh man!"
But it's still
that was
secret sauce.
Yeah. And I didn't get the season 3. I didn't get the season 3 budget number. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little more. But again, it obviously stands on its own, and it is sitting squarely at the bottom end of that list of budget numbers that we gave out. So when you've got your most popular product or popular show can be made for cheaper than anything else, that makes you want to go back and analyze all of it. And that is it for the news.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
All right.
Is there an echo in here?
Yes.
What?
I'm Echo.
Okay, time for dad jokes. So I've got one. This one came in from listener Carlos Macias. And I'm aiming this one at Brian, Mr. Bow Hunter over here. So why didn't the pepper get into archery? You said I don't know why, but you're muted. Because he didn't have an arrow.
You're muted.
Arrow.
Hold on.
There you go. That's
All right.
it.
That was my contribution for the week.
I see how you aim. I saw how you aimed.
Yeah,
at me
yeah,
on
you
that
like
one
that?
too. That was good.
Aimed.
Okay.
Right
I know
at
I'm not the
you.
only one that had something this week, so who's up next?
Someone else had a dad joke?
I got a dad joke.
Go ahead.
This might be just as bad. I've been bored lately, so I've been taking the wheels off of cop cars. They have been working tirelessly.
Wow. I've got a dumb one. Why can't dads wear socks when they golf?
Why?
Because they'll get a hole in one.
Is there an echo in here?
Yes.
What?
I'm Echo.
I've been trying to work on the next
Thinking that's
cooking
over.
with Crosshair, and so I'm looking at how to make an egg roll.
Oh.
And basically, you just push it.
He incorporated it with another segment. That's cool.
Right.
Is there an echo in here?
Yes.
What?
I'm Echo.
Dude, the graphics too that you've been doing on the YouTube.
Oh, on the YouTube, yeah.
Woo,
Yeah.
You're killing it, dude.
Let's see. Do we have time to go into Loki review? You guys want to do Loki review next week?
That's 11.
Those are dumb jokes.
Let's do it next week. Yeah, we can do a
Let's do it next
2-episode
week.
wrap up,
Yeah,
right?
we can. Yeah.
So we don't drag
Yeah,
on too
100%.
long. Yeah. We don't want to keep
Double Loki?
keep Judah.
All right.
Two
Loki, Loki.
I'm good.
We'll do a Loki, Loki.
We're doing this.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I want to clean my
What a
gun
surprise.
and be alone with my thoughts. And I don't need to talk about anything else.
It should be Bo, right? So,
How you doing, Brian?
I was just about to say, just replace gun with bow and leave it to D on that answer. Sums it up.
oh,
Damn.
that's it.
Okay.
We always knew sometimes he
Stoic.
wouldn't have much to say.
He's having a hard time. Yeah. It's okay, Brian.
And so
don't
everybody
let it, don't let it get you down.
Thanks for being
There's
here,
always another
Judah.
arrow.
You the man.
Yeah.
Judah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
You're the man, bro.
That's where that whole phrase comes. Judah man. You're the man.
Judah Man. Judah Mang.
Judah Main, man.
Judah Mang. Judah Mang. You Judah Mang, man.
Well, I think that does it for us
Thank
today,
you for coming,
guys.
Judah.
If you enjoyed listening to the show, feed that algorithm and leave us a review, including the onion emoji on your podcast app. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just subscribe and you can be entered to win an Alpha Ignition helmet of your choice, casted by the Dad Batch. You can follow me at stevie.kicks on Instagram, sometimes Twitter, or X, whatever they're calling it now. Gentlemen, let the listeners know where they can find you. Judah?
Just my name, Juda, no H. Juda Escalante, Escalante, or Mantastic Paint and Props.
Right on. And John?
You could find me working next to Judah whenever things start working.
Yeah.
Rolling again. Just putting that out there in the universe. Maybe it'll come
Maybe he'll
back to
drive
me. You never
trucks, John. He's got a job.
He'll start driving trucks.
Yeah.
Maybe there might be a driver job out there for me. Yeah, exactly.
And Brian?
That's it.
Sitting ain't easy in Dad Batch Pod because Chrome Tono's coming up. I got to update. I have
That's right.
prizes that.
Oh man, we got so many people hitting us up for like,
keep
oh, we
forgetting.
want to put this in the Chrome Tono. We want to put that. There's
So many prizes.
I keep
So
like
many
we
prizes.
we needed to have
Like
we needed
ridiculous.
to have 4 winners this year because there's just too much stuff.
We might need to do more if there's that many things. because we drowned Nate, right?
Potato.
He's drowning in prizes, so we
he ended
need to,
up with like what,
distribute.
7?
Yeah, he has.
Did he end up with like 17 helmets or something?
Yeah, he had like 20 helmets and a bunch of other things, a bunch of cool stuff.
Basically, wear a new helmet,
which is great.
Yeah,
but I would love to like have more people win
for
stuff.
Sure.
That way, they're more inclined to donate and stuff.
Yeah. Raimi.
thedadbatch.com.
And Joe.
Dadbatch.com and on our sleeves, man. We're bringing it on our sleeves. Just watch out.
Yep.
We're gonna do some cool stuff, and I mean, I might throw in something like this.
Ooh.
Hey now.
Which is
is that a gentle giant tech statue?
No,
Kotobukiya.
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 Yeah, tech statue, Kotobukiya. That's probably going in the loot. Just a little sneak peek.
Is it signed by Tech Bad Batch?
No, because that one will be in a box.
Could be, right?
Okay.
This one is mine.
Got it.
Yeah. I'll sign the box, but whatever. That's one in the cash.
Sign the box. Yeah.
Thank you again, everybody, for listening to episode 62 of the Dad Batch podcast. Be sure to tune in next week for episode 63. And until next time, enjoy your spice responsibly.